One day we'll have clean water, let's not forget clean air. One day we will have peace and joy for everyone to share. One day we will be capable in body and in mind, and we'll have peace and joy to spread to all of humankind. And we'll have peace and joy to spread to all of humankind. Don't ever play with matches, don't ever play with shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes. Don't ever play with matches, don't ever play with shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes.
Uncle Jesse used to say, those new boys, Beau and Luke, used to sneak into town by scaling the rooftops because folks in Hazard never look up.
Hey, Vern.
Hello, my name is Mike Webb, Major Mike Webb, and we are reflagging the gubernatorial campaign to launch a race for Arlington Public School Board again. So you're probably saying to yourself, what makes me think I am qualified enough to run for a school board in the best public school system in the Commonwealth of Virginia? I never attended public school. I am not a parent. I am not a teacher, and I don't have any kids. So keep Mike Webb away from our schools, right? Well, I guess I could say that my parents were both teachers, and my daddy not only became the assistant superintendent for the second largest public school system in the Garden State of New Jersey, but was also handpicked by a reforming mayor to establish the first magnet high school in the entire state, which today is ranked amongst the top 63 in the nation. I know, but that was just my daddy. I could say that my grandmother was a primary school teacher in a segregated school, Black Lives Matter, just south of Danville, at least until her husband, my granddaddy, became a franchise martyr. But I know you are sorry to hear about my granddaddy, and I voted for Trump, and therefore it ain't really mine. Hey, it happened. Well, I could say that, like most folks in affluent Arlington, I attended only private and parochial schools, a private grammar school, in fact, and was pretty much the smartest kid in my class. And in the fourth grade, our headmaster in a K-12 school thought that I and another kid in my class was so good at math that he actually asked us to design the plans to convert our old cafeteria into classroom space. And evidently he liked what we did, because when we came back the next year, I began middle school in the classroom that I helped to design. Like any kid, I reckon. By 8th grade, I was working with one of my daddy's best friends, Ray Brown, who had been Hurricane Carter's attorney to represent Resorts Casino to bring gambling to Atlantic City. Much to my dad's chagrin, my very first attorney work product, like any kid in Arlington, I reckon, went on to an elite Jesuit high school and came on down to Virginia after being accepted to the most competitive college in the entire Commonwealth, where somehow at General Lee's College, yes, General Lee, the guy with the Confederacy, I was the first African-American ever elected to student body office, serving in our first year of co-education and having been recruiting for that college for over 35 years. I know. What do I know about education? Keep Mike Webb away from our schools. Sure, I spent some time in the Army, maxed the ASVAB, maxed the officer selection battery, but instead of getting pepper sprayed as a lieutenant, like some black lieutenants, I had already served in the Ranger Battalion. I actually loved getting sprayed with riot agents, and been ordered to attend officer candidate school by a Ranger Hall of Famer and retired Lieutenant General, and became the most junior officer to have ever served as the operations officer for all U.S. Army strategic counterintelligence in the continental United States, and actually had the chance in that capacity to help launch the precursor to the intelligence organization that George Stephanopoulos claimed was supposed to have alerted the president about an emerging pathogen in China back in November 2019. As if knowledge about emerging infectious disease might be important as folks try to reopen schools safely during a pandemic, right? That's what Republicans told me, so you know that has to be good intel. Keep Mike Webb away from our schools, right? Well, to tell you the truth, if you don't know that viruses are the most abundant biological particles in the world, and you don't know that before COVID-19, there, despite the law of large numbers, if you know what that is, were only a total of 220 harmful demands. You probably didn't attend elite high schools and probably are not my voter anyway. Hey, Vern. If you don't know that amongst viruses, coronaviruses have the best advantage to pose a threat to mankind, being both the largest family and the largest in mass, making them the most unstable and hence prone to having mutant variations. But by 1965, it had only produced one human coronavirus, one little tiny human coronavirus that lacked the bandwidth to be more than a co-infected inside a common cold. You probably never worked in epidemiology or as a biological warfare planner, and are probably not my voter. So who cares? Especially if you didn't know that bat coronaviruses that were a zoonotic evolution, quote-unquote, threat to mankind did not appear on the scene until 2003 to 2005. Close cousins to a bat coronavirus that the Chinese have admitted that they are able to cultivate in vitro, when all of a sudden a string of 5 suddenly popped up all around the world, but none with the secondary attack rate to merit being a communicable disease by metric, being transmitted from person to person, making them a little suspect if you know anything about science. If you don't know that less than 5% infectious pathogen, like our current pandemic pathogen, SARS-CoV-2, by science lacks the horsepower as a less than 5% infectious pathogen to become a pandemic pathogen by itself and can only be deployed, you are probably under the belief that one ply cotton is actually impervious to penetration by nanoparticles, measured in microns, of which you could put about 350 inside a period on a standard sheet of paper. And probably don't care that in the Obama administration a decade ago, NIOSH, if you know what that is, published a big report that told everyone that your mass save lives campaign is like totally contrary to known science, evolving science notwithstanding. And if you don't know that you actually need to know the infectious dose or amount of pathogen required to infect you to develop a vaccine that can actually prevent you from being infected, just unfriend me on Facebook. Make yourself a pincushion, and thanks on behalf of science for being a guinea pig for us superior eugenicists. Keep Mike Webb Away from our schools, and thanks for your support. And y'all come back down here. We're going to do a little experiment in natural selection and find out what happened to the dinosaurs. Yes, say yes to fossil fuels. Check out the big brains on breasts. Now you know that dog don't hurt.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
And y'all come back now. Here.
One day we'll have clean water, let's not forget clean air. One day we will have peace and joy for everyone to share. One day we will be capable in body and in mind, and we'll have peace and joy to spread to all of humankind. And we'll have peace and joy to spread to all of humankind. Don't ever play with matches, don't ever play with shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes. Don't ever play with matches, don't ever play with shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes. Don't ever play with matches, you're gonna lose your shoes.
Thunk, I could have had a vaccine.
And that's the way it was in the 2017 Arlington County School Board race. I am Major Mike Webb, and I am running for Arlington County School Board. Good night, and God bless you. Back to you in the studio.